Turning now to a story that reminds us a keen eye and a kind heart can be the difference between life and death. Kayla Barrage is a postal worker in Newmarket, New Hampshire, about an hour from Concord. On Thursday, she was just walking her normal 9-mile route. Yes, it's 9 miles on foot, when she noticed that one of her customers hadn't picked up the mail in a couple of days. So Barrage got a bad feeling. The same kind of feeling that a lot of us all get and kind of push out of our minds. But fortunately, Barrage did not do that. She actually sounded the alarm. And that one decision likely saved an elderly woman's life. The woman had fallen and she was pinned under a heavy load of art supplies in her home. And not just for a day, not just for 2 days. She had been trapped that way for 3 days. And guess what? There wasn't a lot of heat. So Kayla, the hero, the postal carrier, is definitely the kind of person I like to meet. So we called her up, and looky, Kayla Barrage is with us, New Hampshire's newest hero. And joining Kayla on the other side of the screen is Lieutenant Wayne Stevens from the Newmarket Police Department, who rescued the injured woman. Welcome to both of you. And Kayla, holy Dinah, it is so good that you are you. Thank you for doing this, by the way. And what got you past the mailbox being so full that you should actually take action?
It had been like 3 days, and the customer who I knew and would talk to here and there, she would come to the door. She always picks up her mail, and it's just a red flag if someone who always picks up their mail doesn't pick up their mail. It's just like little things like that. So, yeah, I just had a weird feeling about it, and it's better safe than sorry. And in this case, it was better safe than sorry. So
Here's the thing, though. As a postal worker, I actually have no clue what your protocols are. Are you allowed to go, like, stomping into the bushes and peeking up through the window to take a look-see? Or do you have to do something different than the rest of us might do?
I wouldn't do that. I would knock on the door. Yeah. I would try to just knock on the door and see if they answered first. And then I told my postmaster, and thankfully she took that and ran with it. And yeah, and the police department and the paramedics, like it takes a village for what happened. It wasn't just me, but I'm glad that everyone acted so quickly.
So tell me the first thing that you did. Was it knock on the door? Was it call the boss? Like, what was the chain of events that actually led to the brave man on the right of the screen making the rescue?
Honestly, it was just on my route in the morning that I dropped my mail off. I have a relay route, so it's like I drop my mail off in these boxes, and then I'll go back to the post office, and I'll come back and I'll walk out of the office. And that morning when I was at the relay box, which is really close to the customer's house, I could tell, I was like, I'm going to take this time to just see if the mail's been picked up, because it's first thing in the morning. And if it's not, I'm making the call. And that was when I saw that there was still a package outside and the mail was still there. I was like, no, that's not good. So I called my postmaster.
You're the kindest and sweetest post person I've ever, laid eyes on. And the pictures that we're showing as well on the screen. I love my postman, I'm going to be honest. So, okay, Lieutenant Stevens, the call goes from Kayla having a keen eye and saying something and doing something. And as I understand it, it went sort of to the Postmaster General, who called your department. And then, lo and behold, you're now at the house. What happens next?
Correct, yes. First of all, a responding officer, Detective Wedgeworth, responded on scene first. I was with another officer, Officer McLaughlin, and I said, let's start heading that way. Officer Wedgeworth got on scene and knocked on the door, and he could faintly hear a subject inside the residence yelling help. He couldn't get into the residence because it was locked, so he immediately called for the fire department and the ambulance to respond. A few moments later, Officer McLaughlin and I showed up. Officer McLaughlin had been at the residence approximately a month earlier due to the fact that that subject locked herself out of the house. So Officer McLaughlin knew how to gain access into the residence. So Officer McLaughlin gained access into the residence and led Detective Wedgeworth and myself into the residence.
Okay, that was extraordinarily lucky, but I guess otherwise they would have done something a little more, aggressive, like maybe break through a window or something. So, okay, what's the next thing that you see? You get in there, and what happens?
Officer McLaughlin got in, opened the door. We walked in. We could actually see the lady laying on the ground, still yelling for help.
But it had been like 3 days. And is that an accurate description that I opened this with, saying that she was pinned under a load of art supplies that had fallen on her?
Yes, I'm not so sure she was pinned or if she was just injured from the fall. There were items on her. None of them seemed like extremely heavy items, but there were items on her, which we believe might have been items that were on her bed that maybe when she was struggling to try to get up, maybe pulled the blankets and the items fell on her. Or we haven't determined if she was injured from the fall or from the items on her. And yeah, we predicted it was at least 3 days, possibly longer.
Dear Lord. But was she conscious when you got to her and talking?
She was conscious, yeah. She was conscious.
What'd she say to
communicate with us. The communication was a little bit of a struggle, I believe, due to her medical condition at the time. But she was able to communicate with us.
Do you remember what it was she said?
No, she said she'd fallen and she needed help and I mean, we immediately had the ambulance department there. Officer McLaughlin, Officer Wedgeworth offered assistance, but didn't really want to move the patient, not knowing what the injuries were at the time.
And as I understand it, she's an elderly woman. Do you have any idea what her age and stage in life was?
She's in her 80s, but I don't have an exact age.
Okay, so the next thing is that I read this detail, which I found very surprising, because this is inside the house and there's no broken windows. It's not like the cold air from the nor'easters rushing in, but she was suffering from hypothermia as well as dehydration. I understand the dehydration part, but what was happening with the temperature inside the house?
I'm not so sure if it didn't feel very cool in the house when we were there, but I'm not sure if it was from laying on the floor. We have basements up here in New Hampshire, and which are usually a lot lower temperature than the living area. So I'm not sure if it was something from just being on the floor for so long, not getting the blood circulating, not moving, anything like that. I'm not sure if that dropped her body temperature.
Do you have any updates? Have you been able to check on her condition? I know you just certainly go on and do your job, and you have lots of other, crises and issues to deal with. But I mean, this would be one of those for the, stories for the grandchildren.
Correct. And for Kayla's grandchildren, they'll be happy to hear that what she did. I checked with the family on Friday, got an update. The family said that she was still recovering, and was in stable condition, still in the hospital.
But she's going to be okay?
According to the family, yes.
That's good to hear. Okay, so Kayla, you're hearing all this. I don't know how much of it you already know, but have you been able to get further updates and follow the story after you set the ball in motion to rescue her?
I'm just waiting for her to come back and, give her the space she needs. Like, I'm happy she's okay and well. And, I just... I'm respecting the space right now. It's a lot. It's a lot going on. So I haven't heard anything.
It's
but
a lot.
I'm just happy she's okay. Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, thanks to you, young lady. I mean, you're so modest, but I mean, not all heroes wear capes.
Some carry
there are many of us. There are many of
That's
us.
right. And you heard the lieutenant. Yeah. He just said some of them carry mail bags. Good one.
Kayla did an excellent job. We're very proud of her here in New Hampshire, and she definitely saved a life.
Likewise.
Oh, you too. I'm going to cry. So here's the thing, Kayla. I don't know how small the town is. I don't know how close you are to all your customers, but clearly you have a personal affinity for those that you're working with, because you knew the habits of this woman and you noticed a change, and that's really huge. And I think the humanity is just kind of oozing through the screen right now. What is the rest of your route saying? Like all the folks that know what happened and that it's you that saved her.
On Saturday when I was delivering through the blizzard, I had a few customers knock on the window with a thumbs up and open their windows and say, "You're so dedicated." And people are just so supportive. Today I got these oatmeal whoopie pie cookies or whoopie pies, and they were so good that one of my customers baked for me. It's like Newmarket is so nice. I've always felt this way. Like when I first applied for the job, I was like, I want Newmarket, and I got it, and I feel like I have the best fruit, and all the people on it. It's like, yeah, I love it. So. Yeah.
Well, they're really, really lucky to have you, obviously, as this woman will attest. I can't wait to see, you reuniting with her for a big old snuggle. Okay, Lieutenant, we always hear about these welfare checks, right? And in my line of work, we hear about it all the time. I was super curious about the number of times someone calls you and says, I got a funny feeling. Can you go over and check on my so-and-so? How often does it actually turn out to be A, something, and B, positive like this?
Not very often. Sometimes it's positive in a aspect that the person's not in the house and they were either visiting family or gone somewhere else. So that's a positive outcome. But yeah, we do quite a few welfare checks, and through my years of doing this, not as many have been as positive as this one. So. It's good to get a positive one once in a while.
Yeah, and listen, Newmarket obviously is a really nice and closely knit community. I have this one question I always love to ask, because there's this dichotomy between, hey, mind your own business, and hey, if you see something, say something. So, Lieutenant, I'm going to give you the decision-making, edict here. It's actually pretty good to see something and say something.
Correct, and that's if they're teaching that in all the schools to all the kids. See something, say something, and you're not bothering the police. That's our job. That's what we're there to do, and we'd rather go there and it end up being nothing than you think you're violating someone's peace and quiet or rights and not calling us. And the fact that Kayla did see something and say something led to a life being saved here. So we as the police encourage anyone, as like I said, we're teaching it in the school system, and we're never too old as adults to learn to call us, and you're not bothering us, and that's what we're willing to do, and that's what we want to do. So we encourage everyone to give us a call if they see a suspicious person, see something out of line, do what Kayla does, notice something wasn't right, and give us a call, and we'd rather have the outcome that this happened than another outcome.
So Kayla, if I told you last week that you were gonna save a life, meet an awesome cop or two or three, and then be on national television, what would you have said?
No, but this year, I don't even know. The past few years have been just so crazy. I would believe anything now. Anything, actually. It's just, yeah. I don't know. I'm at a loss for words.
Tell you what, I'm thrilled to meet you, and I'm really glad you are you, and I'm glad you did what you did. And like I said, I really want to see that reunion between you and this woman. And I'm sure I speak for her family when I just say thank you. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Kayla
Barrett and Lieutenant Wayne Stevens joining me live tonight. Thanks, Lieutenant. Nice to see you. Thanks for doing this.
Have a good night.
Okay, see you guys. You guys be well. Stay warm, okay? Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.